Hey guys, it's Man, and today I'll be showing you my recipe for black salt or witch's salt and how I make it. For those of you who don't know, black salt is a mixture used here today for protection and keeping negative energy from entering the home. There are multiple different recipes on the internet for this, but I find a lot of them tend to involve a lot of herbs, and when a spell requires a lot of different ingredients, it can get pricey very quickly. And, if you get something out of using 11 herbs and spices like the Colonel, that's great, you do you. But I wanted to show you how you can make this using a mortar and pestle, things a beginner or a budget witch may already have in their kitchen, and things you can find on the ground outside. Step one for me is to boil some eggs. I did this off screen in my rice cooker. I like this because eggs are affordable. 2, it takes care of lunch, and 3, eggshells can easily be used for protection, so that makes them a great ingredient for black salt. Unfortunately, I didn't boil mine quite enough, and that made it hard to peel, and this process was quite a bit messier than it usually is, so much for an aesthetic vlog, but that's life. Oh, and be sure to peel off the membrane during this process. Once I got all I could out of this egg, it was straight to the mortar and pestle. You'll want to ground this into the finest powder you possibly can. Don't go too fast unless you want to clean up the mess after. Use slow, steady motions and try to be patient. It can take a while, but during this time, focus your intent to be safe and protected while you're making the salt, rather than thinking about what you fear. The next step for me was salt. I used salt from my grinder, didn't even bother grinding it, and used the mortar and pestle instead. Why, you ask? What was the reason for this madness when you can easily find a fine-grained salt at the grocery store? You see, I like to make things difficult for myself. I like to suffer. And then I went too fast and I had a mess to clean. See, that's just what I told you not to do. C'est la vie. So now we have 2 ingredients so far, eggshells for protection and salt for purification. This is where the black part of the black salt comes in. There are a number of ways you can do this. Use any protective herbs you have around the house, charcoal or even ashes from the fireplace. You can also use ashes from your incense burner, but personally I like to use dried oak leaves. This was done in November, so there were plenty of oak leaves all over the ground, all over the place, making it convenient and also completely free. Whatever leaves you have around you locally, look up their magical properties and you may be pleasantly surprised. I've read oak is good for protection, abundance, and healing among other things. Whatever you end up using, you're going to want to dry it out first if it's not already dry. Then tear them into small pieces and turn them into ash. I have this footage for demonstration purposes, but it's best to do things like this outside, and I did do most of it outside. Here you can see me using an oh-so-sacred plastic fork to get rid of the pieces that didn't burn to try to salvage as much as possible. I had a hard time because it was windy outside and my container got very hot because the best I could do was a glass container. I didn't feel like I had enough ashes, so I used some straight from my incense burner. I still didn't have enough though, so I tore them up into little pieces and set them on fire right in the mortar and pestle because I am deranged. Do not do this. I also blew it out because I am impulsive and I do not think. Also, I don't know why I'm incapable of saying the word mortar without pestle, because obviously I didn't put them inside the pestle, but whatever. Whatever. I just know I'll get the nitpicky comments if I don't say it myself, so. Once that was all ground up, I added some of the eggshell powder and the sea salt, and set the excess aside, and voila, an Appalachian witch's black salt. Obviously, it gets its name from the darkness of the ashes. You can use charcoal if you want it to be more literal, then it will be like actually black salt. And the final step is, of course, to use it. I converted my child of divorce bedroom into a micro studio, so I don't have a house currently to sprinkle black salt around the perimeter of. But just do what you can, it's magic, you wing it. If you can't do it right, you just wing it. For me, I sprinkled it outside my window. Be careful about winging it, but I sprinkled outside my window. You can also sprinkle some in all four corners of your bedroom if you live at home still. There are many different uses of black salt. There are many different ways to use it. It's so easy to make, and whether you came here today with the intent to make your own black salt or you were just curious about my way or maybe you're just here to vibe, please rate, subscribe, and blessed be motherfuckers. See y'all.